some are asking me what is the big difference with your time, as if I was president of the European Council centuries ago. It's only 10 years ago. One of the big differences is the role of France and Germany. And the role of France and Germany changed dramatically in the course of the time. In the beginning, you had too much Franco-German cooperation. Remember what was called the Merkozy, the Merkel and Sarkozy working too close together, even. Then it was not so strong with Hollande. Then you had the period afterwards. You had in May 2020, just a few weeks after the outbreak of the COVID, this major agreement between Chancellor Merkel and President Macron on this recovery fund of almost 800 billion. When they launched the idea, it was 500 billion, but totally in grants, no loans even. So the Franco-German motor played a big role in the history and even in the recent history of the European Union. This is not no longer the case, and that was we discussed it at the table. It was the great opportunity for the Commission President to jump in and to fill the gap, because somebody has to take the lead. There's, of course, always a structural handicap for the Commission, because they can make proposals, but at the end of the day, the member states and the Parliament afterwards, when it is about legislation, but let's only mention here the member states have to approve. La Commission propose, le Conseil européen dispose. They fill the gap, but they have a structural handicap because they have the right of proposal, the monopoly of proposal, but somebody else has the final word. So this Franco-German motor is absolutely key, even if the Commission in the last period is playing a bigger role than expected, and a very useful role. But again, I will repeat it, the composition of the Commission can change in the course of the years, because they also are appointed by national governments in some way, at least the persons. What will happen if there is a major change in France in 2027? It could be that those populists who are moderate today, if they have around the table an extremist of a populist French president, I hope that it will not be the case, but let's assume that they are around the table with that one. It could be that those moderate populists become even more radical than today. So this is, the Franco-German motor plays a big role, but independent of what could happen in the future, because of course that will not be a change of leadership, that would be a regime change, also a dramatic change for the European Union. The Commission is independent, yes and no. She is not independent from the Parliament, because she needs the approval of the Parliament. She needs the vote of confidence of the Parliament. A Commission can be in some way voted out. That what happened at some moment, not technically, with the Prodi Commission so many years ago, 15 years ago. So they... The Santerre Commission, okay, the Santerre Commission. I was too much thinking at my good friend, Karel van Miert, who was at that time in the Commission, and he told me many times the story of what happened with the Santerre Commission. So with this dependency of the Parliament is a real one. If the Parliament is changing in the more populist sense, then you can imagine what will happen in the future. So this is the Commission independent from the Member States? The President of the Commission is a member of the European Council. And if they put a proposal on the table, they have to anticipate the approval, the consensus that would be needed to in some way to make that their proposals become one day or another a reality. So this you shouldn't overestimate this independence of the Commission. They are dependent from the European Parliament, and the European Parliament is a reflection of the realities in a lot of member states. Some are imagining all kinds of reforms. The merger of the presidency of the Commission and the presidency of the Council. I have a good friend of mine, very pro-European, he died 10 years ago, Jean-Luc Dehaene. He was very much in favor of the merging, the double-hatting of the presidency of the Council and the presidency of the Commission. And I said, Jean-Luc, you think that the president of the Commission will become president of the Council. I think that the president of the Council will become president of the Commission. And of course, this is a big, big difference. You spoke about the two famous methods in the European Union. I know when you merge the jobs, I know what will happen. Another idea is you should give more visibility to the President of the Commission and let him or her be directly elected. Yes, but that is a good example of what is called a false good idea. It is a good idea because you have a stronger democratic legitimacy. It is a bad idea because if you keep the competences as they are, the day after there will be a big disappointment from public opinion. By the way, I'm not a lawyer, but it could be that you need a treaty change for that although some are telling me or try to convince me that you don't need a treaty change. So this, even if you embark on treaty changes, what is possible in the current context? Well, in 2010, I remember one of the first press conferences, we had just approved, no, the Treaty of Lisbon was entered into force, the 1st of December 2009, and some were already speaking about a new treaty. Never-ending story. He calls me, in the Belgian context, we are changing the constitution, or trying to change the constitution at least every 5 years. And I said at that time, I will die under the Lisbon Treaty, and I have not the intention to die soon. So I thought that this process of a new convention that took almost 8 years in the first decade of this century, repeating that exercise, good luck. So I don't believe that you should embark on a process of an overall totally changing the architecture of the European Union because you will not succeed. I believe strongly not in a change of the treaties, but a change in the treaties. In change in the treaties, and there are several good reforms that we can take. Of course, there are not minor reforms. When you change the unanimity rule, that is not a minor reform. But even then, you should be creative. Instead of saying, is qualified majority or unanimity, you can have something, I'm a Belgian, something in between. So that you shouldn't be blocked by one of two countries for major decisions. And so either, I don't think is the right approach, but even for that, you need treaty change. But I consider that as a change in the treaties when you are changing the overall architecture of the Union, then c'est un autre paire de manches, as some are telling us. Some are saying, and there is, of course, an intellectual truth in it, if you want a European Union that is performing better, having better results, because on migration, on climate change, on security and defense, on competitiveness, all those major problems, you can do it with the current rules of decision, with the current role of the institutions. To some extent, you can even accept the argument. The only other thing is, if you start changing the rules, you are opening Pandora's box.